Hello, home bosses. If you're publishing book after book and seeing only a trickle of sales, this video is for you. I was there too until one small shift changed everything. So this is my story. When I first started, the first book I ever created was a budgeting planner for children. And that's what I thought might be a good place to start. And I think the next book that I created was a notebook, and then I created a planner, and I think I moved on to logbooks. So I tried lots and lots of things, and I got some sales, but no consistency. And it felt a little bit like guessing what might work. And it's a bit like throwing spaghetti at the wall and then seeing what sticks. But I think that most of us start like that. I think that all of us, when we're first starting out, we're just creating something simple, and then we're seeing what else we can create. And then we see something that somebody else has created and we think, oh, I could create something like that. I guess that's a little bit like your own journey as well. I think we're all kind of doing the same thing when we first start. But what happens after a while? What happens when, if, for example, one of your books starts getting a sale or two sales or even more than that? What can you do next to scale your business? What can you do to really build a business and not just create random books? Well, I didn't realize it then, but I was missing a strategy. And the shift started when I started focusing on specific types of books. So one of my books started taking off. It sold some copies, and I thought, wow, this is working. And what I did is I looked at what is my audience, who is buying this book, and why are they buying this book? And I realized that there was a reason why they were buying that book. And I thought about making a similar book, something that complemented this book, so that I could target the same audience. Because what happens when somebody buys one of your books, if they like it, they will buy another one of your books. They will look for your other books. And if you haven't got any other books under that pen name, then they obviously can't find another book. So I didn't realize it at the time, but I was starting to build a brand. That's what I was doing. I started creating books that were similar and that were by the same author with the same pen name. And I started creating complementary books that went with that initial book that people started buying. And I created my next book in a similar color scheme. I used the same fonts for the cover, and also the interior was very similar. So it was unintentional, and but I was building a brand. And what you can do is to learn from that and doing it intentionally. And of course, now I do it intentionally as well, because I learned from that experience. And it worked so well for me that I think this is something that we should all be doing. And don't try and do everything for everybody. Think of your audience and think about what specifically made them buy your book. What did they want? So have a look at your niche. What niche was your book in? What are the visuals like? What does your book look like? What colors are you using? What's the tone of your book? What fonts are you using? You know, all of those things obviously made that buyer look at your book and buy it. So you need to recreate that in a sense. So when you create your next book, you have to create a similar design, use similar colors, use the same fonts, use the same style. And I want to show you how other people have done that really successfully on Amazon. So before I carry on with the video, let's hop onto Amazon and take a look at how these other people have branded their books to great success. So I've got my coffee ready. Let's have a look. So let's take a look at how some people have created whole brands using their books. So the first example I want to show you is for puzzle books. I've just typed puzzle books into Amazon. And as you can see, there's quite a few coming up. And you can see by the BSRs, which is this little number here in green, that they're really low. And that is ideally what you want. A BSR of 160 in books is absolutely fantastic. It calculates here that it makes $418 per day in royalties. So imagine having a book that sells this well. And not only do these people have one book, but they have lots of books. And this is what I mean by building a brand. So puzzle books in particular are a really good type of book to build brands in. And I'll show you one example. If we scroll down, you can see this one here. This is just one example. You can probably check out all of the other ones and they'll all have a similar kind of backstory. So this one is 371 in books. And if we click on the author name, we can see that they have lots of similar books. They all have reviews, as you can see, and obviously they're selling really well. And what I want you to notice is how they're all the same type of books. They're all puzzle books, activity books, so you can really create a brand around activity or puzzle books. And you can also see how they've used a very similar cover design, so it looks on brand. Being on brand means your books have something in common that is instantly recognizable. So if you look at one of these books, the other ones look very similar, so you can recognize the brand. And if we have a look at other books, let's try this one, Fun After Books. If I click on the author name, you can see the same thing has happened here. They've got very similar books. They're all in the same kind of niche, which is puzzle books, and they all have something in common. You can see that the cover design is very similar. They have similar fonts or the same fonts, and they're really on brand. So puzzle books are ideal for branding. There are other book types that are ideal as well. And let's look at the educational market. These are sight word workbooks, and I did make a video about this before where I showed how much they're selling. And again, these people have built whole brands around them. So let's click on this one here, which is my sight words workbook, and it's part of the My Workbook series. So not only have they branded their books, but they have created a series. So let's have a look at that. And you can see they're all very similar. They're by different authors, so maybe they have created different author names and it's all the same. They do look pretty much the same. And you can see they all look very similar. They're on brand again, and they all have lots and lots of reviews. They must have made lots of sales. This is a good example on how to build a brand. Another example would be coloring books, and we know that this is dominated by the brand Coco Wyo. Coco Wyo have done such a great job in this because they started as independently published people, just the same as you and me. And they came out with a concept that was pretty unique. And I don't even think they were the first people to come out with this. There was actually another person that came up with this bold and easy style. But Coco Wyo then created a brand around it. They had the traction that followed with it. And now they're probably at the top of the tree with their brand. But that doesn't mean that there aren't other brands competing with them. There's another one here, Amelia Green, which is really nice, and it's got a slightly different style. Let's click on them, and you can see they're also copying that kind of cozy, bold and easy style, and all of their covers are fairly similar. They have the same sort of color scheme, the same fonts. So again, a really good result by creating a brand around their books. So coloring books is a great type of book to create a brand around. And the other one that is really close to my heart is, of course, children's books. So if we have a look at the children's books on Amazon, there are brands there as well. So let's have a look and see if we can find one. So I want to show you one example, which is this one here. This is the book, If You Give a Mouse a Cookie. So this has been made into a series of 19 books, and I'm going to click on that to show you. The reason I've chosen this one is look at the BSR, number 155 in books. They must be making so much money off this just one book. that is amazing. Let's click on it and see what we can investigate a little bit. So there are 19 books in this series, and this is also a brand because you can see they're all designed in a very similar way, and also they have similar titles. The first one was If You Give a Mouse a Cookie, and the second one is If You Give a Pig a Party. There's If You Give a Cat a Cupcake, If You Give a Dog a Donut. I think they're really funny. This was an excellent idea. And if we click on the author, you can see all the books have a very cohesive and similar design. And this is, again, a perfect example of how you brand your books. You can see that if a buyer buys this book, they will probably buy this one if they really like it, and this one and this one. So the more books you have in a brand, the more chances of people buying another one of your books. And it's a good idea to keep them cohesive. You can see they've used the same illustrator, and that really makes for a good brand. So educational books, puzzle books, children's picture books, coloring books, they're all really good book types to build a brand around. So I hope you could see what I mean by branding, by having books that are following a specific niche or following a specific type of book, and their covers are similar, they are on brand, and they're using the same fonts, they're using the same sort of interiors. They continue the style of their books, and obviously they're using the same pen name. Sometimes you can still create a brand by putting your books in a series, but that is tricky with low content books. So you have to think about that. But the main thing is that you have to create strategically. So what can you do to build a brand? Choose a focus. Don't try to do everything. Think of your audience. What else would they want? If you look at the book that is selling, if you've got one that's selling, what do those people want from that book? Why did they buy that book? And then stick to a niche. So the visuals, the tone, the theme should all be consistent. And also use consistent designs. So use consistent colors, fonts, style. And the other thing that you can do, which is really effective, is to link your books together. The way you do that is on the inside of your book, on the back pages, you can then say, books also by, and then the author or the pen name that you're using, and then list your other books there so people know. And you can also, not every book can be put into a series, but you can look into whether you can put your books into a series so that when people click on the series, they see all of those books. And of course, your author central page. For each pen name, you can have an author central page, and you can create your brand that way as well. And the good thing about the author central page is that Amazon sends an email to your followers. So if you are collecting followers on Author Central, Amazon will send an email to them every time you bring out a new book. So that's been really effective in my case as well. The only disadvantage, it's not a disadvantage, but the only thing you can't do with that is you don't have access to those emails. You don't know who your buyers are on Amazon. And that is why it's so important to build your own email list. And I'm not sure if I've made a video about that in the past, but if I haven't, and you would like me to create a video on how to create an email list, let me know and I'll create a video like that for you. Of course, I've also got my branding course, which explains all of that. But just in case you just wanted a particular insight into how to collect email addresses, I can create a video on that as well. So let me know in the comments if you would like that. And if you find that helpful. For me, it has been one of the best things I've ever done when it comes to my KDP business, because I've been able to target people, to let them know when I've got a new book out. In the same way that I send you, if you're on my email list, that is, the way that I send my home boss email, you can do the exact same thing for your book brand. You can keep people updated with news. You can let them know what you're working on next. I find that quite effective if you just tell them, this is what I'm working on, and you get quite a little bit of engagement through that. And it builds anticipation, and people are waiting for your book. And then when your book comes out, Amazon will also advise them if they've subscribed to your Amazon Central page. And that is always a really good way of boosting your sales. But obviously that takes time. We all start with 0 followers. I've started with 0 followers, and it takes time to build that. But if you start now, by this time next year, you could have a really good following. Even if you have 1,000 followers, which isn't a lot, but it is a lot, because that makes a big difference. So it doesn't sound a lot, but it actually is a lot, because it really makes a difference to your book sales. And I showed you earlier on Amazon what kind of books sell really well. And these are the type of book types that lend themselves especially well for creating brands. And I'll go over them again. So the first one I think I showed you was puzzle books. So puzzle books is a really good book type for brand creation, because especially with puzzle books, people buy puzzle books repeatedly. They don't just buy one puzzle book and that's the only puzzle book they buy in their lives. People who like puzzles, they buy lots of puzzle books repeatedly. I don't know about you, but when I go to the supermarket, there are lots of shelves with puzzle books together with their newspapers and magazines. Lots and lots of puzzle books as well, and people buy lots of them. It's a type of book that has a lot of demand. There are people buying puzzle books every week when they do their shopping, and they buy them on Amazon as well. And it's a really good niche if you're creating really good puzzle books. And the best thing about this group of books is that there are so many sub niches. I mean, puzzle books is a niche, but within puzzle books, you've got so many sub niches. You know, you can make puzzle books for seniors. You can make large print puzzle books. You can make puzzle books for relaxation. You can make puzzle books for kids. You can make puzzle books that are aimed at women, at men, at business people. There's just so many different puzzle book types that you could make. And that's why I love that sort of niche, because of the variety that you can present. So even if you have one brand, you can include all of those different niches in that brand. And you never run out of ideas, that's for sure. And that's why that one in particular is such a good book type to use for branding. And the other one is, and that's one that I especially love, is the educational niche. Anything educational, whether it's for children, for adults, it doesn't matter. It's another one of those niches where the educational niche is a niche, but there are so many sub niches in there. You can educate people in maths. You can educate them in language. You can educate them in handwriting. You can educate them in facts and figures and, biology, science, whatever you can think of educationally, you can create books about. And that is why that is such a good book type for branding, because you can create a whole educational brand. You can specialize in a type of niche. For example, you can specialize in math books, or you can specialize in handwriting books, or you can specialize in biology, or whatever your specialty is. But you can also create all of those different niches under one educational umbrella niche. So there are two that I really like. And the good thing about those two niches, the puzzle book niche and the educational niche, is you've probably seen me promote apps for this type of book before in the past. And the company that I promote, which I absolutely love, and I use their tools all the time, and they're bringing out not a new app, but a membership for all of their apps, which is really exciting. I'm excited about that because it just puts your your publishing business on steroids. If you can create these type of books regularly and you can create them professionally, which is what this app helps you with, you can create books that are in the same league as big publishers because they are that good quality. So I'm really excited about that, and that's coming out very, very soon, and I'll let you know all about that when the time comes. But the other book niches that are really good for branding are also, and another one that's especially close to my heart is the children's book niche. So children's books, again, it's one of those niches where you can have lots and lots of sub niches. You can create bedtime stories, but you can also provide educational content. So you can create stories for children that teach them the alphabet, that teach them the numbers, that teach them about feelings, that teach them about colors. There's a lot of scope in that. And again, you never run out of ideas if that's the kind of brand you're building. So children's books, really good for branding. And the other one we saw when I showed you earlier on Amazon is coloring books. Coloring books has exploded in the last year or two, and especially with Coco Wyo. And Coco Wyo were self-published. They were self-publishers just like us. So there is no reason why we can't emulate that or make something. I mean, even if we just earned a fraction of what they're earning, I'd be quite happy, because that means that we can create an income with coloring books. And a lot of people are doing that. And it's not just Coco Wyo. There are other brands that have emerged that are doing really well in that space. And if you can come up with something a bit different, with something that resonates with people, then the sky's the limit, because coloring books is another one where you can just create a really good brand and people will follow you. Like Coco Wyo have done. They've got a Facebook group that is really engaged. People are following them. They're waiting for their next book to come out. And that is something that we want to recreate with our books. Doesn't have to be coloring books. We can create the same sort of thing with all of the other book brands or book types as well. But this is what we should model our brand on. We need to create cohesiveness within our books. We need to create the same type of books, targeting the same audience over and over. And that is the best way to build a brand. And for me, it has been one of the things that has really put my business on steroids. I've noticed a big jump in my sales when I started branding my books. So the email list, building the email list, is a really important part, I would say, probably the most important part about that. And I'm excited to announce the launch of the new software as well very soon. And if you enjoyed this video, let me know what kind of brand you would like to create. Is there something that resonates with you? Is there something that you have a particular affinity with, like I have with the educational niche and with children's books? Is there something that you particularly want to create or are interested in creating? Let me know in the comments. I'd love to know. I always love to hear about what you are creating. And let me know how I can help you. Let me know the kind of videos that you would like to see. What information are you lacking to make you succeed? I'm here to help you, so let me know, and I'll see you again in my next video. Thank you for watching.